In a world of uncertainty,
Rivers jizzing in his pants, and then you bring up your wife in the next sentence. Like, I know where we're going. What is going on?
there is only one place you can turn for fair dinkum advice.
1 word, unbelievable. 2 words, holy shit. 3 words, oh my god.
A place where the undeniably American
It sounds so weird in like an Australian accent.
meets the undeniably Aussie.
Hey, let's stop the foreskinning for some absolutely wonderful segments later.
Where the analysis is solid
I, for one, was not one of those haters, as I picked a Rams victory.
Look, I think he can get over 150 yards in this game, easily.
Kick his ass, Taylor Bass!
and everything else is out to kill you.
There's going to be shrinking nutsacks all over the place.
Welcome to the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
I reckon we should kick it off with Quinny, though. He's gone in at pick 5, and I don't want to hear you talk about your team here, mate. In the first round, in a 2-quarterback league, you, with balls of steel, take the first wide receiver. What's behind that, mate? You see 3 quarterbacks go before you, and that's a ballsy move.
Yeah, well, for me, my strategy going into this, I was thinking I feel like there'd be enough QBs left a bit later, and I always wanted to get some decent receivers. And obviously, Cooper Kupp was amazing last year. And then obviously in our league, Tay had him and he absolutely dominated. So I really wanted to make sure I stacked my receivers. So that's why I went really heavy on my receivers early, because I just love receivers and I think they're very, very valuable. So that's why I went with Kupp. And then I felt like I had the confidence that I'd be able to get Stafford later. He was my number one sort of QB I was looking for, him or Russell Wilson. And I felt I could get them maybe in the 3rd, maybe 4th round, depending on how the draft went. So overall, though, I'm pretty happy. So I'll take Kupp and the Stafford stack, like you boys were saying before. Give me that all day because Kupp was ridiculous last year, and I don't see him slowing down.
I wish I knew that those two were having breakfast together before you all drafted our teams last year, because bloody hell, I think everyone took Robert Woods thinking, yeah, this is going to be awesome. And then it turns out, oh, no, those two have been having breakfast together every day. And then they have the year that they had. Why were we only finding out about that right into the preseason when everyone had already drafted their leagues? But mate, I've got to tell you,
I heard Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
You going to say, Tay?
I was going to say, I heard Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore are having bagels together in the morning, mate. That's going to be the new spot.
I had a feeling
they're going to be having saunas together, those two. It's not very good.
That's the stack. That's the stack this year.
Those two, bagels in the sauna.
Elijah out of his mouth.
Get Elijah out of his mouth. The thing I like about Quinny's team, though, is he's got AJ Brown, which I don't love AJ Brown, but where he's getting him, I guess you can be all right with that. When your next run back, you get Keenan Allen. And then only DeAndre Hopkins as your wide receiver 4. Mate, what a move. But the move I like the most is getting my boy David Montgomery in the 6th round.
I think he'll be solid.
Damn.
I think he'll get a lot of carries this year. They don't have much of an offense. I feel like they'll run a lot through him. So I was happy to get him a bit later. And I got Harris as well, who's pretty handy. Yeah. So he had a great year last year. So I feel like Pittsburgh aren't great, I know, in general, but I think he's good enough to give me those points that I want.
What about Jameson in the 9th round? I mean, what do you expect from him? What do you expect from him? Take the Saints fandom aside. What do you really think he's going to have?
Apart from me, obviously being a Saints fan, and I love having at least a Saints player in my team always, but I just think last year before he got injured, he was playing really, really well. Like he had 13 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Like his QBR was great. He pretty much had no receivers, and he was still putting up decent enough fantasy numbers. And I think now with Michael Thomas coming back, we now got Jarvis Landry, and now we've got Chris Olave as well. Like that 3-head monster. Plus, I know Kamara might be getting suspended, but just think about those 4 weapons at Winston's, and he can throw it. He could always throw it. He just wasn't he was very high risk. So obviously he threw a lot of picks, but I feel like with these receivers, I think Landry's got to be amazing for Michael Thomas as well. So I think it'll just be a lot easier for Winston to put up stats. And I'd love to put money on him to be like an MVP candidate if the Saints go well, because I feel like he could have a big year. But anyway, that's not coming from a Saints fan point of view, but that's just sort of my reasoning. And I think, I got him in like the 9th round. That's not bad for my second QB. Yeah. Like, I'll take that. I always
Can we
wanted
just
to get him.
wind
so-
back to we said, and Jameis could be, you know, an MVP candidate. Can we?
Good.
That's gonna get cut, and that's gonna be a drop. Just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Just so you know.
He was 13-3 last year, and what were we? I think we were
5-2.
5-2 before
Yeah.
he went down. So
Yeah.
and our team, I think, is better this year. I don't know. I'm just thinking he has the potential to have a big year, but I'm just sick of Aaron Rodgers getting the MVP, to be honest. So
Same.
just
Same.
chuck somebody else in there. I'm a Saints fan. Why not?
I think Devontae Adams has really taken away Aaron Rodgers' chance this year.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon. Taylor, do you want to tell us how awesome Quinny is for taking Melvin Gordon in the 11th round?
Mate, we all know.
Talk to me, Tay.
Everyone's taking. People are going way too. There's too big a gap between Javonte and Melvin Gordon. We all know that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that Javonte doesn't have the better season if they're both healthy, but the value you can get on Melvin Gordon, who just showed last year that even when it gets to the goal line, there's a 50-50 chance it's going to him instead of Javonte, and that's the touches you need to have a really good fantasy year. And if you can get Melvin Gordon so late. And if he can't hit, there's a chance he gets 8 to 10 touchdowns again this year. And you've just got so much value on a guy like that. And they just share the workload. And I said last time, everyone talks about what if Gordon goes down, what will Javonte become? Well, what if Javonte goes down? Like, what will Melvin become? Like, Melvin will be awesome again for such a late pick. So I just don't see a downside to going guy like Melvin Gordon.
Can I also just call out real quickly? Quinny's got this real Patriots thing going on there with. He's got Damien Harris, and then he's just stacked up Hunter Henry and Mac Jones down the bottom there. It's all Patriots all day over in the Quinny corner, mate.
It's all just where the cards played, I guess, you know. I needed a running back. Harris was pretty good last year. I think he had another 1,000-yard season. I think he'll get enough red zone carries.
Yeah.
And I think Hunter Henry's a good enough target as well for Mac Jones. So I feel like Henry could get me a couple touchdowns here and there. He's my backup tight end, so I'm not, I'm happy with him, especially that late. I think he's pretty good. So I've always liked Henry. Even when he played for the Chargers, I was a fan of his work. So
yeah. I mean, look, Dalton Schultz is your starting TE. You don't really even need much out of Hunter Henry as long as Schultz is on the field and Dak is on the field. So I see the logic in that. I reckon we should throw over to Sizzle here and have a look at his team from top to bottom as well. Mate, I don't know that I have to ask too much about your first pick. We uncovered the Chiefs fandom early on. Young Patch at the top.
Yeah,
No
look,
problem,
I
mate.
always wanted to take one of the sort of 4 or 3 quarterbacks that went before Patrick Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Mahomes. They were sort of if any of those quarterbacks were on the board for my first pick, I was going to go QB before going running back or receiver there. So I was happy to get Mahomes there with my first pick. Very happy with my wide receiver depth. Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Tyler Lockett, Adam Thielen. Stoked there because as Quinny sort of said, it's I've got a Thielen for my my wide receiver depth. That's for sure, Tate. Thanks for that one.
Well done.
Slam dunk.
As Quinny said, I mean, receivers, they've just got so much value, obviously. I must admit as well, Kareem Hunt, getting him where I got him so late he is a proven running back, even with, sharing the load there with Nick Chubb. I mean, you can come in there and make another joke if you want, on that one.
Chubba Chubb.
My man, Chubb.
Just low hanging.
I thought for sure you were going to jump in there.
We're okay with dick jokes. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you, you're great at them.
We prefer.
Miles Sanders, he's probably my weak point. I mean, as my RB2 there, but because as I mentioned, I got Kareem Hunt, that sort of makes up for that, I think. And Kittle at tight end. I mean, what's not to like
George
there?
Kittle.
Yeah. There you go. There's Tay once again.
In the fifth round,
Tay
too.
there. Yep.
Either
So,
shittle
overall-
or piddle jokes. He's a man of a million jokes, this guy.
Yeah, he is a man of a million jokes.
I have
That's
an
for
iron
sure.
thesaurus.
Both terrible and terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Deontay Johnson. Tay will give you a bit of shit about Deontay Johnson. Come on. Hey, where's the
Yeah, I mean, that's
seething
why I
hate?
didn't mention him there, because I knew Tay was going to jump in.
Don't even
Where's the
know where to
seething
begin.
hate?
I mean, in a PPR league, though, I think he's great value because he, is just always there getting reception. I mean, maybe not so much this year, but I don't know. I like his value. He also is the type of guy that finds the end zone as well. I had him last season. He was great for me. So, I mean, as my third wide receiver, I mean, why not?
I think he's late enough at that point too that have a look around. You got DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams. I probably like all of them more than him, but not all that much more. And if he outscores them, am I going to be shocked? Well, no, because that team may be garbage and he just may end up with 1 million targets. So I get it, but I understand also Tay doesn't love it, and Tay's got his reasons why as well. And I wouldn't discourage people from just plant your flag on a guy, explain it, and then be okay with it. I mean, he's got his James Conner love and
Ben's arm was like a flaccid dick last year, so he just threw to whoever was like 2 centimeters away from him.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if
that was
solid,
JoJo
Thompson. As we roll down to Justin Fields as your quarterback 2, and then Tannehill as the quarterback 3, and I guess there, you can play some matchups. I love this Lockett and Thielen down here. I think there's just a chance Lockett does some crazy stuff like he does. But Thielen that late is mental to me. I can't believe I didn't spot him.
Yeah, I was surprised he was still on the board as well. I mean, I took Lockett before him, and I was sort of looking at both of those two guys, and I was sort of thinking, wow, that's late for. I mean, if you go back to even last year, thinking about drafts, and certainly in our draft, they would definitely not have been on the board that late. I actually had Lockett last year as well in my league, and I think week 1, I believe it might have been, he had like a 30+ fantasy game. He's one of those guys, he's a deep threat, and if you have one of those guys in your team, like, you're always with a shot. So
you just win your week.
Everyone's worried about Lockett without Russ, though. That's why he's dropped so far, because he had that mind meld of Russ, and like you saw in the stats, like when Gino was there, or just basically anyone else that like trotting out there, he was completely useless. Like you couldn't even play him when it was anyone else but us. So I think everyone's just got that baked in this year that they need to see it from Lockett before they start putting him in the team. And the problem with Lockett, you just basically said it there, is he'd drop you 30, and then the next 3 weeks he'd go missing, even with us. It was just a really, it's hard to know when to play him. But look, again, you got him so late. Like, it's insane. If he goes back to anything near what he was, like, it's so much value.
Yeah, totally. And I think the pick of your draft here is in 13th round, handcuffing Dalvin with probably only the most valuable handcuff in the universe, not named Kareem Hunt, who you took knowing that Manjot's got Nick Chubb, and then you may just cash in a whole bunch of fun there if anything would happen to Nick Chubb's volume. So two really nice picks there, but I'm a huge fan of this Madison pick real late, and I would challenge any of you to not also be really happy if you could do that, if you'd taken Dalvin Cook that early.
Solid.
Yeah.
He's the
you're
type
probably
of
sick
guy
of hearing from me. I've got a hot take on that. And I know this from living it last year, especially in Sizzle and Quinny's league last year. When you have Delvin and you have Madison, I felt relieved when Delvin went down. Like, I actually think it's better when it's Madison, because for 100% he's getting all the work. Whereas when Delvin plays, you're like, is he half injured? Is Madison going to get a few touches? Often he doesn't. But I actually felt more confident in Madison when he played as the 100% back than I did Delvin last year. And actually, I'm pretty sure if you look at the stats, Madison was better per game than Delvin.
You never have to worry about the CJ Ham
when he
game
was
or the Mike Boone game.
That's what I mean. I actually feel like when Madison was the starter, you felt more confident than when Delvin was the starter last. I'm mainly talking recency bias. Like, Delvin was weird last year. Like, this is the first year I got him, and I was left actually pretty disappointed. I needed 7 points out of him in the last game of the year to win the title, and he got 3 against the Bears. It was absolutely brutal.
That was unreal, wasn't it? What was that? I've forgotten about that. Thank you for the reminder. Actually,
that was the worst. It was who started for him. It wasn't Kirk Cousins. It was the backup. I can't even remember who it was.
Manjot, save us.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Sweet.
Manjot's asleep over there.
It was that dude.
Christian Ponder.
That dude.
Kellen Mond.
Yeah,
that's right.
Kellen Mond moment. It was
so bad.
The biggest meme. Biggest meme in IG. Kellen Mond moment. I know that. I know the whole history of that too, but we don't have time for that because we got.
Well, we've still got
break
your two
them.
teams to go through, boys. We'll cut to break, and then we'll come back and get the Manjot and the Taylor takes on their teams as well. And if we've got some time after that, you can all tear apart my crappy team, and that will be fun too for the kiddies. We'll throw to a break and we'll be back.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Maddie C.
Oh, let's get this out of the way first. Is there anything you all need me to say in my weird accent?
He is ready to go.
I did this to Taylor a lot during Grand Final in Astro League, and he was like, shut up. Shut up. Mate, I feel like I know who you're going to pick, so it's okay. Sorry, I'm still writing notes. I've just, so many times you said things that I think I could probably turn that into a joke, so I'm just writing it down.
Aussie
NFL
Fantasy.
They are a true arse sandwich. Bread, arse, bread. This thesaurus is both terrible and terrible.
I've got nothing else.
I'm trying to coax him to just be like, shut up, you dickhead, or have a crack at me, and he's not biting. That is the ice-cold worst take I've ever heard.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Okay, we all good on Australian culture. This is our long suit, right?
Is this time to tear apart Taylor's team? I think it should be.
Yeah.
He's going in at pick 9, trying to like matrix us and I don't know. I saw Taylor had been sending me through the week. He's been doing mock drafts. He's done 600 of them is the number he gave me. And I believe him because I've seen 598 of those mock drafts. He screenshot almost every fucking one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, Justin Jefferson, you said it off the top. It's damn hard to get Justin Jefferson in a mock draft, and you got him. How do you feel?
Pretty good actually. I always said that going late in that first round, you sort of just had to take a look at what the sort of top tier option was. So some quarterbacks went pretty quickly, so I was definitely not going to look there. And then I think there was some running back action go a little bit before me, and there'd only been one wide receiver taken. So I felt like Justin Jefferson is on that tier with Cooper Kupp. So I felt like it was pretty straightforward to me because I have Jefferson as my wide receiver too, but I had him if I was to stat it out, I think I'd have him really, really close to Cooper Kupp this year. I just think he's a chance of just going nuclear in that team. And I really rate him as a talent just in real NFL. But I just think in general that team's going to pass way more than they ever have in the last few years with the coaching change. So, yeah, pretty pumped there to have Jefferson in any league.
Anyone else feel disappointed if they got Justin Jefferson as their wide receiver one? Because, I mean, gee, that'd be a tough life.
That's terrible.
Oh, God, that's the worst.
I don't think I had him in any team last year either. So
probably not. No. Guys, you did have. You definitely had Derrick Henry in a team. I remember that. And
didn't we have a ceremony for my death after he went down?
There was a funeral.
Yeah.
There was a headstone.
I remember that episode. That was one of the best.
There was a funeral, and then I turned into the Undertaker and still won the title.
He only lost the greatest running back in the history of all running backs and still won the title. So I can see why you'd go like a bear to honey to that if he's there at the second pick of the second round. I mean, you've talked up DeAndre Swift quite a bit. Now, this is a heck of a Batman and Robin thing going on. Which one's Batman, which one's Robin? Because, I mean, you've talked up DeAndre. You've talked him up. He could be Batman.
He'll be Robin receptions, mate, from everyone else in that line. That's there. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Dinger.
That's the end of my analysis. That's all I need.
I
just think in general, what I love about Swift is he doesn't need a whole bunch of rushing attempts to dominate a game. Like, even if they brought in Jamal Williams or something to take, a bit of a share, a bit of a load there, they still just go to him so much in the passing game. And I think this Lions team only needs to just get that little bit better on offense, which I think they will. Yeah. It's just going to give him way more opportunity. They'll have more red zone looks. And I just don't see his target number going down. And I think he is clearly the best runner they have. So if he can hopefully stay a bit more healthier this year, I think he just gets more rush attempts and he just gets more of the same in the passing game. And he could just be a real breakout star this year.
Anyone disagree with that? Because, I mean, the only thing that bothers me about him is injury. Anyone's concerned about that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre,
he's pretty handy.
He's got a lot of upside.
I think that's a great pick. I think it's a great pick as well. Like I said, injury, I guess, is the only real concern there with Swift. He's three down back, like great pass catcher as well. And they seem to look, at least last year, seemed to go to him in the end zone quite a bit, even if he's not getting as much work. So yeah, great pick, I think.
Goff's new girly, is it?
Yeah, he could have like 9 rush attempts and still have like a 20-point fantasy game. That's just the way he sort of, because he has so much work in the passing game, and because he seems to get the right carries. Like he'll have 9 carries, but even though Detroit didn't get into the red zone that much, he still seemed to get a couple of red zone attempts. So, and I just see him getting more of those this year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think in terms of just opportunity, this is as good a pick as anyone there. We've talked a bit about Tyreek Hill in other shows.
Full PPR.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, full PPR. And that's kind of where I think Tyreek Hill's an interesting pick.
Makes him even more relevant.
Yeah, well, and that's why I think Tyreek Hill's an interesting pick. 4th round, Tyreek Hill? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've talked about Tyreek Hill in some of our other pods. I think he's going to be more of a possession receiver this year. I don't think he's going to be able to air it out without Mahomes. So I don't think he's going to be able to rely on getting huge chunk plays like he did at the Chiefs. I think they're going to use him more in more intermediate routes. I think he's going to be similar to like what Jalen Waddle was last year, just with a bit more explosiveness. I can see him, you saw him in that playoff game last year, take a little dump off for 70 yards against the Bills. I can see him doing more stuff like that. I still think Tua's arms underrated. Everyone says that they didn't see him do a lot of long passes, but it's because he didn't really have anyone to throw to, and he actually has one of the best ratings in terms of deep ball out of all the quarterbacks. He just hasn't had a chance to do it often. So I think he still has some upside there. But I just think in PPR, he's actually going to be really, really good this year because he's going to have more receptions, but probably less chunk plays.
I'm concerned about your next couple of picks, though. With Kirk Cousins taken by some handsome devil 2 picks before your pick, you were left with not a lot of options at quarterback. I'm totally tongue-in-cheek with that because you've talked a lot about how much you love Trey Lance, and I also understand that you were trying to shove it right up Manjot there.
The funny thing is the Manjot is just a lovely bonus that it got to piss Manjot off. It actually has nothing to do with Manjot, if I have to be honest. I've always been massive Trey Lance. I talked about my secret plan to grab him in Australia last year and basically grab him in almost every draft I'm in. I think he's going to be a weapon this year. I really liked his chance to break out last year. Obviously didn't happen with Jimmy G basically playing most of the season. You even saw in that one game he played, he didn't look fantastic as an actual NFL QB, but he still eked his way to like 24 fantasy points in his first game, like in his first proper start, because he has
Jalen Hurts his way to 24 fantasy points.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah, Kyle
100% did. Jalen Hurts his way there.
Yeah, I was having words with Kyle Shanahan after he was trying to run Trey into the ground. He got a literal knee sprain or something after that game against the Cardinals. I swear, but once he got back against the Texans, though, he was airing it out more.
Yeah.
Especially that one to Debo. There was one to Ayuk in the corner, which is just a PI. So, yeah, there's a few signs there for Trey in his first 2 starts that he could be a really good NFL quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. A potential superstar. So yeah, fantasy wise, he's going to be an absolute stud. I agree with Taylor. Yeah, that's why I wanted him as my second.
Did you also say their potential MVP to go along with Jameis?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's code.
Absolutely.
That's code. You didn't have to read me like that, Matty. You did not.
He's a candidate.
We need to waterbet you 2 about which one of those quarterbacks is closer in the MVP race. That's what we need to do. One of you. I'd love to see that.
It's like which
could not be lower.
So Trey versus Jameis
in the MVP stakes.
Don't
sleep on him, guys. Don't sleep on Jameis.
Look, I'm actually pretty high on Jameis too. Yeah, I know we're going back a little bit with Quinny's team, but I was pretty high on Jameis too coming into this season. I've seen a lot of people saying he could be the Saints and him could be like dark horses this year, and I do agree with that take. They have a solid defense. Their wide receivers are coming back. New head coach and Dennis Allen too. So I think the Saints are a sneaky team to watch in fantasy and in real life as well. for all of you playing at home. They could make the 7th seed at least. NFC is pretty weak, so they'll be in contention. So they'll be playing hard for all the fantasy points for you guys as well. Yeah.
Interesting to see Dennis Allen as a head coach again too. Now
He
Taylor
wasn't
throws
great
away
the
his
first
6th
time
round
round,
pick.
yeah.
Oh well, hang on, he was at Oakland. What are you going to do?
Yeah, true.
That was a period too where I realized I actually don't know who Oakland's head coach is. And when I looked it up, I'm like, well, I'm never going to forget that. So that's the only reason I remember it.
Yeah.
Who is their coach? Google it up. Taylor throws away his 6th round pick here, and we can just skip over the useless bag of shit he picked there because he's got the same surname as me, but doesn't even know how to spell it. James Conner, man, you love yourself some James Conner. Do you want to bludgeon me with the James Conner stick one more time?
I'd love a new host to this podcast. It'd be absolutely wonderful. Someone that could actually give the respect to James Conner that he deserves. The man is just a machine. Well, I've brought out so many stats about Conner for this year. He was so underrated last year going to the Cardinals. He had to put up with like a 40% share in the running back position last year with Chase Edmonds, and then he still got it done for fantasy. He's still like top 10 fantasy finish from last year, and he had to basically share the load for the entire season. And then all of a sudden, without Chase Edmonds near the end of the year, he absolutely dominated. He was on fire. I just don't see how that goes away. You've talked about David Montgomery, right? I can guarantee you Montgomery's going to have way more volume than Conner will. But Conner is in a far better offense, and that guy has huge amount of touchdowns last year. There is no way that goes away. There is no chance. They are just too good of an offense, and they always use their running backs in the red zone. Even though Kyler might have a couple, they're still going to go to him. You saw Kenyon Drake the year before. He was absolutely horrendous, and he still went for over 10 touchdowns because they always go to their running back in that position. And I just don't see that not happening again for Conner. He could actually regress from 20 touchdowns or whatever he had last year to like 12.
Yeah.
He would still be an enormous contributor to fantasy football in the running back position. And he's also going to get more catches than he had last year because he doesn't have to put up with Chase Edmonds there. So I just don't see a downside to Conner unless he gets injured. I just don't see it.
All right, I'm thoroughly bruised from the Conner stick. Anyone else want to weigh in on Conner?
Conner crime.
Yeah, that is. It's like having my little brother beat me up. I do like the Jerry Jeudy pick, and I think he did a good job describing that. And we don't know what Amari Cooper's future is, but if you're getting him in the 8th round, everything's sky high from there. Cordero Patterson smacks that ass son in the 9th round, which I love. These are the picks that I really want to get into here, Tay. You slam dunk on Zach Ertz. The clock didn't even start. You had Zach Ertz in your pocket. What's to do?
Yeah.
I've talked about that. I've basically got 2 tight end targets this year. One's Mr. Dalton Schultz that SQ went and got. But in terms of a bit more value, Ertz is my guy. Like if I'm not liking the idea of taking a tight end sort of in the middle there, I'm waiting 2 or 3 rounds and going Ertz because I just think he is going to be enormous in those first 6 weeks without DeAndre Hopkins. They not only did they lose Hopkins, they also lost Christian Kirk too. I'm not saying that's the same position taking directly off a tight end because Kirk airs it out. I'm just saying there's vacated targets in that offense. And then even with those guys there, when you saw Ertz first come into the offense, he was a huge target. He was getting targets from Kyler all the time, and they were really, really high value for fantasy as well. So it's not so much me saying Zach Ertz is this great athlete, or he is getting on, and he has shown in the past that he's kind of gone missing like in the Eagles. But I just think his situation in Arizona, not unlike Conner, I just think they're going to have to use those guys in those first 6 weeks. And we all know how well the Cardinals start seasons. They always fall apart in the second half, but they're great at the start. And I'm telling you, the first 6 weeks without Hopkins, Ertz is going to be phenomenal, especially in the tight end position that's so scarce.
I can see that. Yeah.
Manjot sees a lot of the Cardinals because he sees them twice a year with passion. And if he's nodding on that, I kind of feel like.
Look, I hate the Seahawks and the Rams way more. The Cardinals are just like, I don't give a shit. You guys gave us your home stadium for like a couple of weeks at the end of 2020. So, you guys have a little soft spot with me, and I kind of like Kyler, which we'll touch on later. But yeah, continue with Taylor's team. you know.
What do we expect for Robert Woods?
Bobby
I'm interested about this one. Very interested about this.
It's a
I won't be
volume play,
trading for him.
I think he gets a lot of volume. I know Tennessee are always going to be a run-heavy team, and that's just who they are. But you saw this huge vacated targets from AJ Brown. It's insane. Like AJ Brown, even though he goes missing occasionally, he gets injured a lot. He still demanded a pretty high, amount of targets from Ryan Tannehill. And again, even though they do run, they still have to air it out occasionally. Like they just have to find people. So I just think in general, I think a lot of it goes to Woods. I wouldn't be surprised if Traylon Burks is a decent rookie, but again, he's a rookie. He's got to earn the trust of the team. And Robert Woods is a veteran of this league, and he's always been a volume receiver. And I think that works perfect in this Tennessee offense because I don't think Tannehill wants to be throwing 40-yard bombs. I think he would be very happy to just be picking up first downs. And I just think that's going to be exactly what Woods does. I'm not saying Woods has any chance of being like a top 12 receiver, really. But he's going to be a volume guy. And in PPR, I think that's actually really perfect for a guy you're picking so late because if I get an injury or two to my wide receiver core, he's just a plug-and-play guy that I could probably expect 10 to 15 points out of, even if he doesn't get a touchdown.
Yeah, I mentioned volume is the play there. You get Chase Edmonds, which you talked really eloquently about what you think his opportunity there is. And then as your quarterback 3, Zach Wilson. I mean, you picked him as your quarterback 2, but he's a quarterback 3. And he smacks
Look,
that
mate, we all talk about looking back on our drafts, and this is what we do mocks. And I like you said, I did about 600 mocks in the lead up. And every single time I took my quarterback in round 5 and 6, I definitely ended up with 2 before that tier break. So that's why I went with that strategy. If I could have my time over again, the quarterbacks obviously went far quicker with this human element, 5 of us drafting than it did on those mocks. So, I can learn from that. And next time I'd probably just go around earlier and keep the same strategy. But, in the end, it is what it is. I'd probably just say at the end of this team, Zach Wilson, you could almost just label him as a streamer. Like it's just going to be my second quarterback's just going to be, I'm going to be streaming from the waivers, whoever's got the best matchup that week. I actually have some confidence in Zach Wilson. I actually took him in our FFL dynasty last year and then paired him with Elijah Moore. I actually see huge potential for the Jets. I think it's going to move forward. And I think they're going to be far better than last year. So I've actually got, I've got some chips in on Zach Wilson Island. I reckon he could be decent this year.
Okay, it's going to be a desperate line.
I'm building a house on Zach Wilson Island, baby.
That's an image. Sizzle, what do you think about this? Are you buying the Zach Wilson Island experience?
Not so much, no. I'm not buying any real estate. I'm sorry. I'm curious though, Tate, if you sort of said you would have
there's some villas really cheap.
It's not like Bora Bora,
you might be able to twist my arm. He's still young, I guess.
Here we go. Sizzle and stuff.
Yeah, no, I've got a question. You sort of said if you do it over again, you'd probably go around or so earlier on quarterback. Who around or so earlier sort of do you look at with, a bit more enthusiasm?
There was some guys that I would have liked to have. Trey Lance was always my target. It would have probably been nice if there was someone like a Kirk Cousins. Like I'm not sitting here saying I wanted to go much higher. Like I was happy with that sort of 3rd tier quarterback. I just thought it dropped off straight after Tua. I'm not sitting here saying I felt like I needed like Josh Allen or Mahomes or Herbert or anything like that. But if I had it a round earlier, I probably would have looked at that range, like Cousins, Carr. Maybe I'm not too high on Aaron Rodgers, but I think where he's going in drafts, I probably would take the shot on him just because, he's got the pedigree. And if he's actually getting drafted as like the quarterback 12 or something at the moment, that I was the lowest in our rankings on him by a mile. And I'm actually technically still higher than where he's going. So he actually shows at least a little bit of value. So I probably would have looked at something like that to pair with Trey Lance. Because the problem with Trey Lance is, as your 1, is in a way he's actually the guy you'd rather have as your 2 because he's not guaranteed to be, and you don't know what you're getting out of him, put it that way. It's all upside in a way. So he probably would have been better off being my quarterback too. But again, that's where you learn. And, I might be I'm super flex goober now instead of super flex genius, but I'm happy with how the rest of my team panned out. And if this was a real league, I would actually be okay because, like I said, I feel like I'd just stream my second quarterback anyway and just play off matchups, and I'd be really happy with the rest of my team.
Yeah, mate. A bunch of Kenny Pickett in there to help you get through those tough weeks. It'll be great.
For the tough times. Got to get those baby hands, those small hands for getting Pickett.
I'll throw up a quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw up a quick scenario actually. So say Rodgers might have dropped one pick to you. Would you take him over Swift? Would you have taken
over what? Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you take Rodgers over Swift if he dropped to you one pick later. He might have picked before you. So yeah, if he dropped to you. Because I think, to be honest, I would have probably not taken Swift. I would have still stuck with my RB duo that I did take because I was pretty dead set on them. And Swift wasn't really on my radar. So I think if that makes it easier, like this is just all hypothetical. Would you have taken Rodgers there and then taken Swift in the fourth, Taylor? I think is that like an easy choice you would have done in hindsight if that would have happened?
Yeah, because currently you're
close.
Like Jefferson, Henry.
Yeah, it was too early.
Yeah,
that was too early. Like it's whatever. I think I had Tyreek go as my fourth. Now that is maybe what I could have maybe looked at and just gone. I'm not going high on wide receiver. But I kind of wanted to pair it there in a PPR league. I kind of didn't want to wait on my wide receiver too. Rodgers for Swift is probably too much. Again, it's hard. Like in a vacuum, like it's hard for me to say I would change my Swift or my Tyreek Hill pick because I really like them both. It's just one of those things with the draft that just didn't work out for me. Like if let's say Natty didn't go Kirk Cousins and then you only had the chance to go Tua or Kirk Cousins at the end there on the turn, I would have ended up one of them and I would have been stoked. Like it's just sometimes it just doesn't work out. But if I had to, it would have been me taking a quarterback instead of Tyreek Hill as my wide receiver two. And then I would have probably taken two quarterbacks in a row. And then I would have gone, if my sixth pick, I would have gone a wide receiver two probably. So that's the only other way I would have probably done it.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough because DK was there as well. So you probably would have got DK as a wide receiver too.
Yeah. I think I would have saved
I'm a little unsure about DK just purely because of the Seattle situation quarterbacks, but
there was Pittman as well, your boy. So there was a few quality options.
I would have done if I had a chance now, that's what I would do. Just because it had put me in a way better spot in quarterback, and the drop off from Tyreek to a Pittman or something like that probably isn't too far, where I'd have two decent quarterbacks instead of Zach Wilson as my second one. Again, that would probably be the only thing I'd change my draft. That would definitely be it. But again, it could have worked out if just one extra thing didn't go wrong. I would have been sitting pretty going in round 5 and 6. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I did want to play that game. Yeah, Maddie, have we talked about your team, by the way? I do want to.
We're going to do the Manjot team first. So I'm going to let you guys kick my ass last. I think that actually, Taylor, that would have been a big time saver because then we wouldn't have to do the James Conner thing. So, mate, in future, if you could just pick someone who's not James Conner, that would be great.
Yeah, every mock we do, I'm just going to have James Conner and we're going to have this exact same conversation.
You get James Conner and I'll just get James Cook and we can have a James off. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Every time James Cook. If I can get him, I'm taking him.
Let's go for our 30th order bet.
Yeah, totally. Imagine if James Cook outscores James Conner this year. Oh, man, I will clobber you. I will clobber you.
Yeah, anyway. I'll leave the country.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Manjot, myth, legend.
Who thinks they're going first this week, by the way? Hands up.
It's Taylor.
Oh, you're wrong. It's you, man.
Yeah, I thought so. Oh, okay. Man, that is just a load of information. Lot of dumping right there, man. Yes, you gotta go for them early and then trade them. I was feeling that sort of vibe from Taylor. Taylor nailed, I reckon. Yeah, as someone who's living the pain of the Jimmy G experience still, just trade that man, please.
I just realised he, basically had hamstrings made of tissue. That was great.
A lot like mine.
Anyway, back to Manjel.
How about me with my Peyton Manning jersey that I got for Christmas last year?
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
It's an upgrade, but he's not going to be so elite.
Manjel, let's go through your team. At first pick, you get the opportunity to take Kyler Murray as the, count it, 5th quarterback of the first round. Is that a slam dunk pick for you there? The other guys around are Burrow, Wilson, Prescott. Is that a slam dunk for you at 110? Did you have to think about it?
It was pretty much a slam dunk. He was either going 110 or 2-1. It didn't matter which order I put those two in. They were both slam dunk picks. I'll just say, second one was Jamar Chase. Yeah, Kyler, 100%, his rushing upside is way higher than Burrow's. Ross is coming at the end of his career, so his rushing upside going down a bit. Yeah, Dak, he has a few injuries here and there, so his rushing upside's gone down a bit. And Hurts, he's inconsistent in the past game. So Murray just felt very safe for me. I did go with him and Chase at the start just because I thought that was just a perfect duo to start off my draft. And it really set me up for some success this year in this draft for the Superflex. I think I did have a very good draft and the people should be pretty happy with it. So
you reckon you're going to get a lot of votes this time around? I mean, gee, we've got to split them 5 ways now.
I mean, I got a 5th of the vote last time. So getting a 5th of the vote this time is pretty much an equal portion of everyone here. So
you can win with barely more than that. That's the tricky bit.
Yeah, that's the tricky bit with, so I just need 1 or 2% more to drop to me and then I could easily win the vote. But hey, look, speaking of my next 2 picks, I got Chubb and Javonte Williams. Absolutely love those two at running back. We all love Javonte on this podcast, especially over Melvin Gordon. I do want to fire some shots at Quinny there for taking Melvin Gordon. Look,
we get those red zone carries. We'll get the red zone carries.
Javonte, man.
I'm backing Javonte. I want to butt in there. I would rather Gordon than Javonte at their price in the draft. I would far rather Melvin Gordon.
But I do like Javonte's
upside. Getting him in the 10th. I just think the value is far better. But again, I'm not trying to downplay Javonte. It's fine taking him. I just think Melvin's better value.
I don't mind Javonte's RB2.
Yeah, I was a bit against taking Kamara. Aaron Jones, he would have been contention there had I thought of him a bit higher. But I think Javonte was the right pick there. I do like his carry share, his sort of backfield share there. And I think he'll go in his favor. I think he's got better hands than Gordon as well in terms of the pass game. I think it's going to work in his favor as well. And then I went with a bit of a gadget play at the 5th round. I just went with Jalen Waddle and I stacked up Tua straight away as my second quarterback. This is what I just love about the Superflex. I've never done one of these before. I'm taking 2 quarterbacks in the first 6 rounds. It's just crazy. Yeah, because I did see Team 8, they took Burrow and Rodgers 2nd and 3rd round. And pretty much everyone else who was like everyone in the podcast who was a human had 1 quarterback except for Maddie. Maddie, you were the only one with 2 quarterbacks before I did. And I think I got a good duo. They got tremendous rushing upside, both of them. Tua's got a little less, but he's got some good rushing upside. And I think he's got to really improve with Tyreek and Waddle, my boy Waddle, right there, taking
your boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Now zooming on.
LSU going on.
Yeah, zooming on through. I'm really liking my boy TJ Hawkinson here. I'm just really liking TJ Hawkinson, and then rolling into Brandon Cooks. I know you guys have the hate for Hawkwatch, but I'm just feeling something. I think Goff is going to grow a little bit in that offense. I mean, they've probably got another quarterback or so contending, but I reckon Hawkwatch is back. You know, you're going to watch Hawk get a couple of red zone touchdowns. That's really going to put me over the line somewhere. And then Brandon Cooks, your boy, Matty C. He can be my boy today. We will share him because my boy, Matty Cooks.
You can borrow him.
Not Matty Cooks, sorry. Brandon
Matty
Cooks. Yeah.
Matty Cooks.
Matty Cooks. That's an interesting one.
Mate.
Yeah, this is how you know I've been talking too long and no one's butting in. But yeah,
Can you smell what Matty's been cooking?
They're both built the same.
Yeah. Yeah, Brandon Cooks.
They're both about 40 kilos bringing away.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks, he's going to be a stud on that Texans offense. He's the only thing going there. So, yeah, Davis Mills, just send all your balls to Brandon Cooks. Yeah, and then Devontae
everyone
Smith
should send all their balls to Brandon Cooks. I love a piece of him this year.
Drop your balls on Brandon Cooks.
Sending all my balls to
Brandon Cooks. He was your guy a couple of seasons ago.
Flop your balls.
Was that last season?
Everyone should have a turn with
Brandon Cooks.
Should have a turn.
Wasn't he your breakout player last year, Tay? Or was that the year before when we brought you on our podcast?
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it was when
right.
It
was when he first moved to the Texans.
Watson. First there,
Will Fuller.
He was your ride or die, yeah.
And Hopkins. All those three were there at the same time. And it was like, who do you pick? Yeah, and Tay was all over the Brandon Cooks because he was the cheapest, I think, of the three as well, in terms of draft price.
Yeah, it was.
And in a situation like that, it's always good to go for that. But yeah, everyone get your balls out for Brandon Cooks. I certainly will be.
Yep.
I accidentally
Whip them
created
out.
a trend.
Whip them out.
They're out right now.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Accidentally
whip your
created
balls
a
out
trend.
for Brandon.
There's a whole Anchorman thing going
Balls
on.
out for Brandon.
Balls out
Oh,
for Brandon. Hashtag.
And you had
That
to
is
spell
not
with
gonna be
the
a
I
drop.
as well. Yeah.
That is not going to be.
That's completely my fault. Yeah, complete apologies. But yeah, look, Devontae Smith, I'm really excited for him as well. He had a decent rookie season. I thought him going in the ninth round seemed like a steal to me.
Yeah.
And then I went with Tony Pollard because who knows what the hell's going to happen with Zeke Elliott. He's going to still be pretty good, but Zeke, I think he's going to cede more carries to Tony Pollard this year. And I'm really going to ride on the upside of Tony Pollard here in the 10th round. He's just a bench player, so it's all good. I mean, Brandon Cooks is my flex. Yeah, go for it, Tal.
Can I ask you a question on Devontae Smith, Manjo?
Yeah.
I'm personally a little bit out on him. I'm interested in your take, saying you're pretty high on him. Like with AJ Brown turning up,
AJ,
and with them not being a very high passing offense as it is, where do you sort of see the volume coming for him? Because he was sort of the makeshift one last year with, an absolute hodgepodge of other piece of shit wide receivers around him.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get it done. I know he's a rookie, so you can't just, have a go at him for that. But where do you see the volume coming from? Do you just think Jalen Hurts passes more than he did last year? Or do you just think he can actually usurp AJ Brown?
Or AJ Brown gives him a bit more space because cornerbacks, like the first cornerback, those guys would just go onto AJ Brown, and that can free up a lot of targets for Devontae. You can see like Juju back in 2018 when he had AB, he went off. So I'm kind of banking on that. Like I said, Devontae's on my bench, so him and Cooks is at my flex. So I'm kind of tossed between the two. They could both be flex plays depending on the week. It's just, you could see a guy like AJ Brown take off the top of the defense, and then you got Devonta as the second option, and no one's covering him. A bunch of nobody's just covering him at the cornerback too, and I can just see some sort of upside in that compared to him getting more volume. It's just maybe he gets more yards and more touchdowns here or there. So it's not necessarily volume; it might be more production from lesser volume potentially. So, it's just a risk. But, again, it's just a bench play, and I thought it was a pretty good play. And then
there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. I was just interested. You were
the right price
on him. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
End of the ninth? I actually had to really think about, do I take Mooney or Devonta Smith? That was my decision point there. I literally looked pretty hard at Devonta Smith. So, I love the call.
Yeah, just over a minute left here on the other thing on our recording. So yeah, Matt Ryan, I really liked him as my QB3. I just think there's some upside. He's got the Colts. The Colts got Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman ready for him to carry. And I think he'd be a good option for me at QB3. And then Gesicki, yeah, I think he's a great backup tight end. I wanted to take him right before anyone else could as backup tight end. I just wanted to get him on the punch. And he was just right there. So I was like, yep, Gesicki. That's where we're going, Mike Gesicki. And then, yeah, I took Bills defense, Carlson. Yeah, and then Christian Watson, my final pick of the entire draft. Really love him. I've been high on him in the last couple of mock drafts. I've taken him. So, yeah, him and Rodgers, I'm just banking on that. Yeah, so smack that ass, son. Christian Watson.
Well, we're gonna have to tear apart my team in a second.
I don't understand. I don't understand the joke.
Back on it.
I don't understand.
Yeah, me neither. Well, yeah, it was completely off my mind. I created it.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Taylor talk time.
Because all I do is win, 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 no matter what. That's a foreskin right there. We'll foreskin that for later. That's on the first 5 pages.
Wowza. Mate,
Sorry, the first 4 pages. Foreskin. We didn't want to talk about it. You guys brought it up. It wasn't me, of course.
Mate, we'll chat later.
Yeah. I didn't realise you can trade. I didn't realise it was a trade button. I don't do many trades, mate. So I always stay on the fence. I don't call him an absolute spud, and I never call him an absolute choker in the second half of years. So, well, we start with the Portaloo out the back when we just shit ourselves straight into the Portaloo, and then it goes into a hole, not even to an actual toilet.
Aussie NFL Fantasy.
Look, eat it, Mark Downey. I'm all Dolphins this year, mate, and you're going to have to make a lot of room because I'm not the smallest bloke in the world on that bandwagon.
Tater, do you have a pointy question you want to put to someone?
All right, I'll start it with Quinny. It can be taken from anyone else. It's a pretty generic question. I wouldn't call it pointy, but outside of Saints players, I'm not going to let you pick a Saint. Give me a fantasy breakout player for the upcoming season. Someone who looked like they might have broken out last year, just didn't quite have the season we expected, and just someone that could be just smashed through their ADP this year.
I think I'm gonna just have a look at my team. I was happy that I picked him up. I think David Montgomery has the option to break out. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I'm a fan of his work. He was decent last year. He's going to get more carries this year. And I feel like based on what I saw last year and what I think he could do this year, I'm going to say David Montgomery. Why not? I'll chuck him out there. I was going to say somebody else, but I wasn't allowed to do a Saints player. So,
yeah, exactly. I took that away from you because it's too easy for you. I wanted you to step out.
But I think David Montgomery. I feel like he has that potential. Someone has to get the ball. Someone has to get the ball on that team.
If we were picking players, I would say him. I just hate the team situations.
Yeah, I know. Bears, they do suck, but I just think as a player, I think he has the potential to break out.
Beautiful.
I didn't already.
Oh, okay. I'm ready for question.
Same question. Sorry, I was just going to keep the same question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. A real breakout. All right. Cheating using the Niners, but Brandon Ayuk.
Should have said no Niners.
Yeah, you should have said no Niners because you just stipulated there's no Saints.
Yeah, no Saints, but he's allowed.
You can say to me no Jazz. Is that what he's going to do?
Right. I know I completely cheated. But I do see Ayuk really being a deep threat with Trey Lance now and that offense. It's just perfect situation now for Ayuk to be able to break out. Now, not cheating anymore, but I think I'm gonna go out on a limb, maybe a rookie breakout. I'm kind of seeing signs that maybe Garrett Wilson or Drake London. I think they were the top couple of receivers in that draft. And I think they could really go up in fantasy, not to the Chase and Jamar levels. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase levels, but literally it could just be it could be some decent level that's way above their ADP, like a round 3 or round 4 ADP sort of level. And I think that's a pretty good breakout for them. And I think, yeah, you're not going to see Chaser Jefferson style situation pretty much ever again, unless it just literally happens every year from now on until the end of time. But I think London and Wilson, they're just going to be great. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something that's telling me that they could be pretty good considering their situations. They're going to get high volume and everything. Sorry to Elijah, by the way, but yeah.
So same question to you, Sizzle.
Yeah, look, this is a player who I've always sort of liked, and he's definitely had like some good years. Last year was good, and the year before, but I think he's going to have an even better year this year. He just recently got paid, and that's Terry McLaurin, and you like sort of look where he's going, like in this draft, and I feel like he is going to
Scary Terry.
I feel like he's going to be one of the better wide receivers in the league this year. New quarterback. He's got his new contract. He's getting paid. We've seen him be able to do it. Certainly seen him, get touchdowns, receptions. So I really like Terry McLaurin. I think he's going to have his best year yet. Going into the season throughout.
So 2 years ago, me and Maddie, when we were first doing the podcast, we had like our, I did some like early rankings, like the big breakouts and stuff. And McLaurin was going around wide receiver 20. I think it was 20. It was 23. I think we made a big joke about LeBron or something, or Jordan or something. And then I loved him at that. And then he beat that. And then all of a sudden he was getting drafted as like the wide receiver 12 or something last year. And so I actually put him on the like hate list. Like I was like, I actually don't like his situation. It was a real like, seesawing situation with me, bit of a roller coaster with Terry McLaurin because I didn't like his ADP last year. But I think it's actually back to being a good spot now. I think he's around 17, 18 or something right in the middle. I think I agree. I still think even though we I bag Carson Wentz more than anyone probably ever does. Stupid Ronald McDonald looking bastard. I still think he's better than Taylor Heineke. Like it's still an upgrade in that situation. All he needed was a bit of an upgrade in that situation, and I think he's got the talent to really break out as well. I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I guess I'll ask you, Matty. I'll ask you.
No, I was just expecting that you'd be like, right, yeah, he's going to say David Montgomery and we're moving on. I'm not going to say David Montgomery. I was going to ask
if you like. It's all right.
Quinny which saint he needed me to say for him because
if
I didn't have a crush on Quinny before this show, I totally have a crush on him now because he's just picked all the guys I love. He's completely just shoved it up Taylor's ass as much as he can. I love Quinny. We're going to run away and start our own podcast together. The Quinny and Matt podcast because he needs to go first. I think probably the player who I'm looking at in terms of just, it's maybe not a breakout as much as it's about damn time. Fire up the Lizzo. It's got to be about damn time for Allen Robinson, doesn't it? When's he ever had a better situation?
Yeah, I mean, after last year.
Yeah.
This guy finishes like wide receiver 6. Is anyone going to be terrified about that? Actually, is like the whole world going to fall apart? No, actually, there's a world that can happen. And that's kind of like the big unreasonable thing that I'd like to say about someone who's getting drafted way late. What about Allen Robinson? If it's not now.
Yeah. He's got the best quarterback he's ever had, I think, with
Matt
Stafford. And I feel like Cup, obviously, he's going to get his receptions, but I feel like now that Robert Woods isn't there, he was getting bulk touches too. He was going pretty good as like their second receiver.
And OBJ.
That's as well. Like OBJ was just filthing it up in Cleveland, being a Brown. He was just sucking it over there. And then he goes to LA and Stafford's like he's a legit quarterback. He was just at a bad team for a long time. I feel like, if he doesn't do it this year, I don't know. I feel like he can't. I don't know. He's been in the league for a while now. He's had some
love
good
list
years,
play for me. That's like the guy I just love to pieces who's going way late.
This is the best spot for him. Like he's not the number one, so the pressure's off him a bit. So I feel like this could be his chance to sort of have a big season. So.
Yeah.
Completely agree. How good was it taking him as a wide receiver 1 last year in fantasy? Has there ever? I'll put this question to anyone: has there ever been a bigger bust in fantasy football? Like, has anyone ever been picked up as a wide receiver one or a running back one and were unplayable halfway through the season?
Wasn't hurt, and he was on the waivers in our league in a 16-team half PPR. He was available.
He was unplayable. You could not play him.
He was bad.
It was
I can't think of anybody.
Tough look. I can't think of anyone.
It's too hard to think. Like, because at least people that you pick high are normally because they get injured, or they are normally okay and they're picked as number 10 and they're 20. Like, it's not like an insane drop off where they're picked as number 10 and
completely
they're
falls out. Yeah. Like that year where Tyreek Hill was 30, and you go, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. But even that was still probably playable.
Yeah, totally, because he's up weeks are up. But all right, which one of you two lads is going to throw a question out there? Let's go with...
I've got one.
Quinny.
Sorry, I'll step in.
I love Quinny.
Yeah. So
Quinny just sticks it to me.
There's a bromance going on here. I'm all about
questions. This question's for everybody on the pod. This is across the board. I want everybody's sort of opinion. So, hypothetical, obviously. Okay, Alvin Kamara doesn't get suspended. Obviously, Michael Thomas is back day one. Jarvis Landry's there. Chris Olave's there. What is Winston's ceiling as a fantasy quarterback this year?
Winston to the moon. If that happens, Winston to the moon. I'm getting that bandwagon. This is all hypotheticals, of course, but Winston to the moon. His ceiling, I reckon, he could probably be top 12, top 13 fantasy QB.
That's not the moon.
Yeah, no, that's not the look.
A bit higher, maybe top 10.
But you mean top one? Yeah, and top one, and he's not 2 or 3. He's top 1. Yeah,
that's not even out of the atmosphere, mate. I reckon planes go there.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's not super far to the moon, but we barely do we even rank Winston in our QB rankings. I'm talking about him getting on. I'm talking about him getting onto our QB rankings, and that to me would be to the moon. But unfortunately, I don't see him cracking the top 10. I could maybe see him get 10th if he gets that MVP season sort of hype rolling about him. I think 10th is very attainable, but it is fantasy. Look. I think.
Are we worried about Taysom Hill
compared to fantasy?
No,
Taysom Hill can
stay on the bench.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill's replacing him in week 5.
Are we worried about Ian Book? Are we worried about
Ian Book moment?
Oh, Andy Dalton's there too, actually. Yeah, we've got Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Andy Dalton, watch out.
I've definitely been worried about him.
He always makes some appearances.
Red Rifle.
I'm telling you, Winston, it could be.
Andy Dalton's going to be on the waiver wire, and there's going to be blogs and other podcasts talking about how he could be a good streamer.
Thank God Ian Book started that one game.
You said what ceiling? I'm going 8th. I'm going top 8.
Get him in the 10.
Fair enough.
We're talking ceiling. Like, everything's going right for him.
Oh, yeah, ceiling.
I don't think I can't see it being top 5 just because there's way too many good quarterbacks. But when it gets to that like bottom, there's almost always someone that gets in the top 10 that you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what is going on here? And like, I think it was like halfway through last year, Kirk Cousins was like quarterback 4 or something.
He finished it.
It's always sort of like he finished it. 8. There you go.
6
that's
maybe.
Probably the guy.
It was.
Yeah, it was insane.
Not lettuce sandwich for the first time ever.
So sometimes it's just all about situations like that. Like, I actually think, like you said, if Kamara isn't there, they're gonna have to pass more, and they've actually got a way better wide receiver core than they've had probably for a little while. So I could see him being around 8 if they give him a bit more of a license to be like, pre-LASIK Jameis, just really airing it out. And I don't think they'll go that far because they've got such a good defense. I think they are going to probably be okay playing lower scoring games. But I just think with those wide receivers, if you're talking ceiling, I would say around around the quarterback 8 would be my ceiling for him.
I'm going to need a shower or wash my mouth out, but I'm going to agree with Taylor.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon
I'll take it. That's right. I'll take it top 10.
Because I'm looking at it. Is he going to outscore Allen? No. Jackson? No. Mahomes? No. Kyler? Now he's starting to get closer, but still probably not. Dak, probably not. Well, there's 5. And then after that, I don't know. Stafford, Brady, Rodgers seem to score a lot of points. Maybe you could argue he belongs somewhere at the tail end of that if he has a great year. That's, I don't know. Yeah, as you're saying, it's hypotheticals. That would be his MVP season for me, right there.
Yeah, he wouldn't need to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback to get MVP. Like, it just have to be he would take that team to a really, really good season and just have a lot of yards, and even like a 35 touchdown year or something would be awesome and would probably put him in that conversation. But for fantasy, it would probably still cap him around the 8. And because he's not really a rush, he's probably not going to have much rushing and rushy touchdowns. So it sort of takes him away from that top level in fantasy. But I think he's got that in him to be somewhere around the 10 range. But I would say full ceiling, probably about 8.
I'll take
he
it.
Used to be that 1-yard touchdown guy in Tampa.
Yeah.
Not now. Hey, Sizzle, wrap it up with a good
here we go.
for us, mate. Give us a good question, we'll wrap it.
A quick question for everyone here. Who do we think is going to regress the most? Say, first round, those sort of top stars that everyone sort of wants. Who do we think is going to really fall off this year? And we're going to look back and say, oh, we're really wrong about that guy.
All right, I'm going spicy.
Please do.
Off. All right. Look, he's getting a little... All right, first guy I have is Najee. I think everyone can agree Najee is going to go down a bit. But the second guy I got, hella spicy. He's getting a bit old in age. There is a new lead back in the NFL. He's dropped to number 2. I think his drop might go down further to 3, maybe even 4 if CMC is healthy. But even further, depending on his injury status and everything, his volume. I know Taylor is going to give me a ton of hate. I will not be able to open my Instagram DMs when I say Derrick Henry might fall off this year. I'm really sorry. I'm seeing something it's just that running back cliff where you hit that certain age where if you're not named Frank Gore or Adrian Peterson, you don't get a certain amount of years. Like you're not extending your career by 10 years unless you're those two. Oof. Yeah, but this is very spicy, but I would still draft Henry, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has a small drop or like a big drop because of injury or something. It's just, I know I've lost Taylor here. So, Taylor, rip into me.
I think he's actually quit. I think he's walked out.
Yeah, take it easy. I'm out. Stephen A.
Can you do a double poo emoji?
That's what he's actually looking for. This is why he's not on the screen.
He's looking for it. Oh shit! I'm completely now. I'm being Taylor cool before this, and now it's over between us.
What do you reckon, Quinny? Hit us with your drop.
Maybe Jamar Chase.
Only spicy one.
Just simply the fact that T. Higgins is really good as well. Tyler Boyd's really good as well. And I feel like the NFL, the defenses are probably going to take a bit more notice of him now. Because I feel like because he was a rookie last year, they probably didn't, I guess, match up with him as well as they probably could have. So I feel like they'll do a bit more homework on him. And I feel like there's other targets that might take a few off him. But that's a big call by me. But I'm just saying maybe Chase.
Oh, I love it. Tay, what have you got, mate?
Taylor has left the building.
I think it'll be Elijah Moore.
I'm really down on Elijah Moore this year. We all know that. I don't want to just harp on it again. Manjot definitely probably mentioned one of mine, and it's definitely Najee. Like I said, I just think he's going to get far less work in the passing game. And I just think a lot of people think with Ben going out and, a mix between Trubisky and a rookie and Kenny Pickett is actually going to be a savior for these guys, and especially a guy like Deontay Johnson. But I just don't think, the touchdowns are going to be there. And I know they normally aren't anyway. But the huge thing is I just don't see the volume. Ben liked to just throw his, wet noodle around and throw it about 2 yards, and that either went to Najee or Deontay. And I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to run the ball more. I just don't think the volume's going to get there. It's going to get spread out a bit more, and Deontay's just not going to get hammered with targets like he did with Ben. So I just don't see the upside for Deontay this year, and I just don't think he's as safe as he was last year because of the regression in volume. So it just worries me a bit about that whole offense. So I won't be having any pieces of Najee or Deontay this year.
No, look, fair enough. You've said this before too. If you're out on the Texans, you're even further out on the Steelers, and I get it. I get it. Someone's probably doing something there, but I don't have a lot of confidence. I think there'll be somebody else for one, to be honest.
Exactly. And if it happens, if it happens, it happens. But like you said, if someone may have to do something. But I'm going to take the odds that Deontay is just a bit too high. I'm not saying Deontay is just completely going to turn into nothing, but I just think he regresses from what he did last year, and I just don't think he's going to return value on where he's going ADP-wise.
Hey, fellas, this has been a real marathon. It's been great. We're going to get 2 full shows to the people, and I love that. Thank you so much to Sizzle and Quinny for giving up half a day of their life to spend with us too.
Thank you so much. It was really good. Thanks for your time.
And on a
it was
school
awesome.
night for Quinny, although, we'll get to sleep in tomorrow. You'll be right, mate.
No, it's a school strike tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, we're on strike
the
tomorrow.
day
Yeah,
off.
so I'm not at work tomorrow.
He's got to sleep in an egg and bacon roll coming. He's doing okay.
I'll get my coffee in the morning, and then that's it. I'll be good to go back home.
Yeah, offer a $20 smashed avo down in the main street of Young, something like that. Is that?
Yeah,
do
that
that?
sounds about right. Yeah, their smash avo is pretty good actually. There's some nice cafes around here. It's good.
I'll take
You
you on
should.
a mandate out there because you know how much I've got a crush on you at the moment.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll take it S and AJ or Hussey. They're both good cafes.
Well, mate, Hussey signed me up. I get told to get a little bit that I look a bit like a young Mike Hussey, so I'll take that.
Yeah.
You actually so do. Like it actually.
Yeah, you do.
People have said it a bit. I don't see it as much, but I don't
definitely
discourage
do.
people. I love Mike Hussey as well. If we can bring Mike
just the
Hussey,
guy
that'd be the
saying-
best threesome ever.
Just the guy who just would average 100 over a calendar year just for fun in one day.
Yeah, no, I love Mike Hussey. But look, and to you as well, Sizzle. Thank you so much for coming on and putting up with me calling you Quinny every second time I brought you up.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. The podcast. Love what you guys do. So, thanks for having me.
Keep it up. It's awesome.
Well,
Thanks
what
a
I'm
lot
sure
for
we've got an
coming,
excuse to bring you guys back as well.
Thanks a lot for coming Top Gun Maverick over there. Sizzle with the Mo. Good work, mate.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah, it looks good.
that? You,
Mitchell
Dave.
Johnson.
Highway to the
It's beautiful.
danger zone.
It's beautiful. Look at the volume on that thing. Look at it.
Yeah,
it's
that's
been
solid,
many years in the making. So
Mate, you look
If-
wisdomous. That's what you look.
I'll take 30 years to even have something you'd even realize was a moustache.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then there's
it's taken me about
whatever I
3
have.
years, so
Yeah, and then there's what I have, which is
yeah,
just
then
a
man
whole
just
lot.
putting it all over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For the first time, though, Manjot's got the second best moustache on the show. It's never happened before.
I don't know about that.
yeah, it's a competition, but I think I'll take second here.
Yeah, I know where I'm putting my
Special
vote this time.
I'll take
Yeah.
that win then. I'll take that win.
Sizzle
Yeah.
and Quinny will have to do our pre-year show that we normally do for NFL fantasy at some stage.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Get you guys
Hear
on
more of
too.
my one.
Yeah, you
Majesty.
get the rest of the boys on too. I
Let's get
reckon.
the whole crew on.
Yeah, get them all.
Yeah.
Do
That'd
it.
be wild.
Go
That'd be
on your
wild.
own turf.
100%.
Yeah. Why
100%.
not?
Come and
Now
hijack your show.
let's let Sizzle and Quinny plug in their social medias because they've been wonderful guests. Massive thank you for your time. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find us on the Instagram at Sizzle and Quinny. Give us a follow. We put out episodes usually once a week. So yeah, plug into that. You can follow me personally at Samuel Finlay, and Quinny, you can throw your account out there.
Yeah, you can follow me, SRQuinn91 as well. And if you like to listen to pop culture, boys, that's the podcast for you. Sizzle and Quinny, we like a bit of pop culture. So, but we do like fantasy as well. We always get a sneaky fantasy episode in as well.
Hey,
We always do.
that's good.
Literally the only pop culture podcast I listen to, by the way. So keep up the good work.
Thank
Love
boys.
to hear
Thank
it.
you.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
And Manjot, do you want to do our socials before we all skedaddle off to bed? Because I don't know, I'm an old man. I need to go in a minute.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. I'm actually a bit busy right now. I have to do a few things, but before I go to bed. But anyway, like one of those things I have to do is plug our social media. So at Aussie NFL Fantasy on Instagram, on TikTok now. We're going full crazy on TikTok. You might actually find we are posting more on TikTok nowadays than any other social platform.
Yeah.
Facebook, Astro League 2022. Maddie did update the year a few weeks ago, and we did cover that last episode. So it's not really a surprise anymore, but Astro League 2022.
New league year. When the draft lottery's happening, new league year, mate. That's how we do it.
Yeah. Find all our voice episodes on Anchor, anchor.fm/Aussie NFL Fantasy, and then YouTube, of course, Aussie NFL Fantasy. Type it in, you'll find us there as well. And as always, you can always find other content, Pastry Press, always collabing. If you always want to find Maddie's content plus a little extra NFL content, follow NFL, Pastry Press NFL, that is. Yeah, Pastry Press NFL, Pastry Press Sports. We'll get that back on the road, but that account is just chilling after the Golden State Warriors won the championship. You can always find Matty Podcast. He always posts great, stuff behind the scenes. We got some behind the scenes on TikToks as well. Yeah, it's all going on here. We're really trying to rebuild the image of this podcast after our rebrand. I heard a lot of people didn't like our rebrand for some reason, me, but it's okay. Yeah, I did like the rebrand. Don't worry.
I defend it. I think we made the right call.
Yeah, we made the right call. It's all good. Yeah,
where else are you going to get the man of Liberty? I mean, where else are you getting?
Yeah.
We send out info, a lot of info through Pigeon Mail, Bazooka Mail. We send it by Eagle. Like we just send a lot of random shit out there. So
get our
if you get anyone out there, absolutely.
Yeah, boat, plane, car, whatever post.
Yeah.
There's also that email, isn't it? We have an email, AussieNFLFantasy@gmail.com. Or is it still at the is okay?
Hagrid delivers it occasionally. Old mate from Harry Potter just comes in and just delivers our mail.
Voice message on Anchor. That's the one I was forgetting because you can always send us a voice message. That's how I first got on the show. I actually put in some voice messages, 100%. And then the boys played it on the show. So we can do that for you, 100%. Again, that's Anchor.fm. Yeah,
mate,
do it, mate. Yeah, it's awesome.
Anchor.fm. Find us. Aussie NFL.
Yeah, send us voicemails every week.
Troll us in there, mate. Spit seething hate about Taylor's picks and yep, 100%. Send it all in.
I can do that.
Everyone, tell me how much you love the Zach Wilson pick. I think I'm going to get a lot of people talking that up. It's going to be brilliant.
Tell me how wrong he is about James Conner, please, everyone.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I might have to go before Taylor kills me over that Derrick Henry take a few minutes ago.
Yeah, this is the last show of ours, guys. Either Matty gets rid of me and Joel, or I just break out into my own show. So this is it for the trio. So you're on the last ever show, mate. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm really sorry for messing.
Sorry that you're leaving.
Yeah,
we're just gonna fire up the Aussie NFL Sizzle and Quinny podcast. It's gonna be great. It's just same bat time, same bat channel, just without Taylor. It'll be great.
Yeah, I might have to retire.
Plenty of poo emojis.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's been a blast. Look after yourselves and everyone. Find them everywhere on social media. This is and Quinny podcast goes from strength to strength, and you can find them on Instagram too. And follow the boys.
The goats.
And for us, make sure you go and pester Taylor. Send all the seething hate at Taylor41, and send all the love to. Oh, mate, we've got to send it to Quinny's account. He and I, we're going for Smash Davos later. It's going to be great.
It should be good.
Hey,
lock it in.
But all the best to you guys, and we'll try and find an excuse to get you back on through the season as well if you guys would have us.
Love it. Love
come and knock on your door
Thanks,
again,
boys. Definitely. Thank you so much.
It's great.
Ripper. All right, guys. Hooroo.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.
Hooroo.
See ya.
David Montgomery sucks.
And he starts going like he goes absolutely mental and then like nearly explodes.
Like the game show version of playing Nick Kyrgios thing.
Ozzy?
So just to clarify, one team scores more points and they both lost to the Jets. So you have to take the team that scores more points.
Yes.
NFL.
You guys made me really thirsty with all those trophy picks.
The trophy is making me thirsty.
Fantasy.
Who won starts the week, by the way?
Let's not talk about it.
Okay, right. On to the next one.
This is what 20 years of being a Jacksonville Jaguars fan does to a man, I reckon.
I feel like this was so much easier when I wrote it down. You guys are making this sound so hard.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
But it was in the Brady era, yeah.
Everything's in the Brady era, mate.